Hundreds of U.S. Marines. Wait until you see what this guy did. And he did it just hours after the Americans announced a nuclear deal with his country, Iran. Also tonight.
Monday, at 22 minutes after 6 Beirut time, with dawn just breaking, a truck, looking like a lot of other vehicles in the city, approached the airport on a busy main road. There was nothing in its appearance to suggest it was any different than the trucks or cars that were normally seen on and around the airport. But this one was different. At the wheel was a young man on a suicide mission. More than 200 of the sleeping men were killed in that one hideous, insane attack.
President Ronald Reagan addressing the nation just days after one of the worst terrorist attacks in our history. The 1983 bombing of the Beirut barracks killed 241 American service members, most of them Marines. The alleged mastermind behind it, a man named Ahmad Mughniyeh. He was killed later in a 2008 car bombing. But just yesterday, Iran's foreign minister chose to honor him by laying a wreath at his grave. Look at it here. The move comes just hours after our president announces that the United States and other world powers have reached a nuclear deal with that man's country, with Iran. Pete Hegseth is an Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran and CEO of Concerned Veterans for America. So that's how he chooses to mark the occasion of this historic deal we've reached with Iran. And Iran's president, Hassan Rouhani, sent out this tweet about the deal. In Geneva agreement, world powers surrendered to Iranian nation's will. And so we see these are the people that we're trying to deal with here, Pete.
That's all we need to know about the true intentions of this regime. So we ink this deal that's supposed to, we believe, prevent Iran from pursuing a nuclear weapon, and they go lay a wreath at the grave of one of the biggest killers of Americans after Osama bin Laden, a terrorist, and they declare us in full-out surrender. This is a declaration for them of victory in this deal and a demonstration of the willful blindness. I don't think there's any other way to say it. Willful blindness of this administration to believe that somehow now we're dealing with moderates in Iran. It's the foreign minister Zarif. It's the new president Rouhani. We've turned over a new leaf. No, these are the same guys as the Quds Force and Hezbollah and the place where they laid that wreath who killed those Marines. Same people, same control, same ideology, but we seem to believe somehow now's the time to strike it.
That guy, the foreign minister, who's laying the wreath at the killer.
He was the one shaking hands with John Kerry.
This is unbelievable. Like, this is supposed to be our bargaining partner that we have to, in whom we have to place faith. And yet the administration, which, by the way, condemned the wreath laying.
They did, to their credit.
It's basically their Secretary of State in Iran today, comes out and says, it doesn't matter what they say. It matters what they do. And we've managed to halt the program. You can't look at the wreath. You can't look at the tweets being sent out by the Iranian president. You have to look at the fact that we have halted the program and we didn't surrender.
We haven't, first of all, we haven't halted anything. Nothing's halted. The centrifuges are spinning. They're still enriching uranium. They're still building facilities. And they've declared now on the world stage that they have a right to enrich uranium. This was a horrible deal from the very beginning. And what's so disingenuous about this administration, there's legislation moving through the Congress right now that would hold Iran accountable if they don't meet the standards we've set forward. And this administration is saying if you support it to Democrats and Republicans, then you're a warmonger. So now it's either you want peace with Iran because they're peaceful people or you're a warmonger. No, a lot of us are clear-eyed about this administration, that regime and what they've done, what that guy who laid that wreath did, and we better remember that every time we reach across the aisle.
The scary thing is, if you're so invested in the deal working, are you clear-eyed about the signs that it may not be working? And if they start spinning again or continue or amp up the spinning, what do we do next? Give you the last word.
What do we do next? I don't know that this administration is prepared to do what it needs to do next, which is why Congress is stepping up to say we'd better enforce it if this administration's unwilling to, which is a sad indictment of those who lead our foreign policy, that they're not willing to hold that Iranian regime responsible, and we've got to leave it to Congress to do just that.
This is an example of the situation the country's in. These are the people we need to negotiate with. If we, I guess, that's up to the viewers. Do we need to or don't we? Pete, thanks.